Whew, it's getting hot in
Relax,
here.
guys. Yeah, dang. That might be the
whole
first
shirt
part
off,
in
dude.
Hey, shout out to 614 real quick, one of our sponsors for the podcast. Thank you guys.
Yeah, actually, do we have any releases? I put the notification out on Twitter. I do know that we have Home Alone, which we're gonna have one of the organizers on the podcast next week. And it's just a matter of which one and getting all that figured out. But Home Alone's gonna be a festival benefiting the Mid Ohio Food Bank, and it's gonna be 12 hours of DJs from 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Friday, May 8th. So that's a week from yesterday, and should be a great time. It's a fantastic lineup. So a bunch of DJs playing what they want to play. Nice stream for a good cause. Check it out. And again, we'll have them on the podcast next week. And I'm realizing that they would have to be on the podcast this week.
Well,
we'll have to figure that out.
We'll just do a recap because I think we'll promote the Home Alone thing all week. I think it's really it's for a good cause. Like you said, the lineup is stacked. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Where can they? Where's the stream going to be at? Is that going to be on Twitch?
Yep, that's going to be on Twitch. I'll leave everything in the description. And we'll be, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, there's now Columbus DJ Podcasts on accounts on all those platforms. So we will be announcing that probably right following the release of this episode.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man.
But yeah, shout out to 614. They're doing embroidery now. I feel like every week they got something different going on. So shout out to them.
Is that like a new local clothing line that just kind of popped up, or have they been around for a while?
Yeah, man, they've been bubbling. They're doing a really nice job of just getting people to take pictures in their stuff. And it's real high quality, and people seem to like it, and they're doing a nice job.
Oh, yeah?
Guys, tips for listeners. One secret to DJing or business that our audience hasn't heard before, and Kenobi, we're starting with you.
Oh, shit, I was gonna say start with BK. I mean, honestly, just something that worked best for me is probably just repetition and practice. And I know that's this old saying, but I mean, honestly, you put in 10,000 hours into something and you'll master whatever it is that you put that time forth to. And I think that's honestly the best advice and secret that anyone could do is just put in the time if you really, really want to achieve what you want and the goals that you have set for yourself. I would say just practice and repetition of whatever it is that you want to do.
Is there a type of practice? Because I want to push it a little bit further than that, because I think people have heard that they need to practice. So is there a type of practice? Do they need to practice their sets? Do they practice their music? Do they need to practice being live? What kind of practice worked best for you coming up?
I would say the practice that worked best for me was just honestly opening my laptop, connecting my controller, and just going through any and all of my tracks and just mixing whatever it was that came up next together, regardless if it was the same genre or not. I think that really helped me out a little bit too, because then now I know what to mix each genre. I know what to listen for, and also just gives you a little bit of variety as well, in case you get dropped into play a random set somewhere, and you're able to play to what the crowd's vibing to from the guy that was playing before you. And I think that will, definitely help out the most.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
BK, you've seen pretty much every DJ in the city. What advice do you have for, what do you think is the secret? What do you think is the secret to DJing or business?
I think the thing that so many people lack is the key, I think, to getting better or being really efficient is find somebody who gives you legitimate, honest feedback. Because I feel like there's that point at which you start and you're like, yo, check out what I'm doing. And your friends will be like, yo, that's dope. And it's not. And they're like, yo, your mix is fire. And it's not. And like having that person who's legitimately honest with you when you first come up, like, hey, this is all right, but here's some shit that you did was bad. Or here's something that you should do that's better. And I feel like that was probably one of the most crucial things that I ever learned. and don't have dogs have a fight while you're trying to talk. But that like having somebody who would give me honest feedback, I'd be like, send my buddy this mix, and I'd be like, yo, check this out. And he's like, yo, this sucks. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll try again. And he, like, send him another one. He's like, this one sucks a little bit less than the last one. I'm like, all right, cool. And then when I finally got to the point where those dudes were like, hey, you're not terrible anymore. Let's get you in a club somewhere, or let's get you in an after party, or we're gonna do an after hours at a spot. Like, you want to swing through and play for a little bit at a house party. And like, I feel like that was the key for me. Like, get honest and legitimate feedback and take it back. If everyone around you is always like, hey, you're dope and you're new, you're probably not getting the feedback that you need to like really grow as a DJ or an artist, because you're not always going to be dope. Like, I mess up all the time. And like, when somebody's like, yo, your set was dope except for these things that you did that were stupid, I appreciate that feedback a lot more than like, your whole set was fire and you never screw up, or you're always dope like 100% of the time. And like, no one is, but like that feedback helps you grow as a DJ more than anything else, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's why I had him on the podcast, because I know he was going to say exactly that, which is exactly what I said last week. So that's
it is.
Podcast done. Podcast is over. Wrap it up.
I mean, I think that's. I mean, I agree with that 100%. Because
I'm totally not surprised you said that either, Mike, because I think you and I have had that very conversation like more than a couple times. Just
yeah.
And I know that if I go up to Mike and I say, "What do you think about this?" He's going to give me his unfettered opinion with no bullshit behind it. Like,
I love it.
I like this. I don't like this. And like, he's always a person I know is going to come straight to the cut, and he's not hiding any bullshit behind what he tells you. And he won't pull any punches either.
I get going too much though. You gotta cut me down a little bit.
Yeah, I do the same thing. That's like a thing that I'm trying to work on right now. It's like not getting to that place where I hate everything and I'm like, oh, fuck everybody and all the stuff, because I can get into that spot real easy sometimes too. So
well, I agree with you, BK, on Mike being straight to the point. I know when he was first teaching me on how to mix properly, he was giving me unedited feedback about my mixes that I would send him, and I would just get like, at first I'm like, damn, he's right, and then after that, like, first initial, like, damn, he was kind of being an asshole. And then after that, you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, he was doing it as like really good constructive criticism.
It's hard. It's hard to get legitimate feedback. I remember at one point in time, I had this up and coming DJ ask me, he was like, yo, will you check out my mix and let me know what you think? And I was like, okay. And so I listened to his whole mix from front to back with a Word file open. And I just started typing shit down like 1 minute and 15 seconds. Like, your shit is not in key.
He's like, oh, shit.
Like 3 minutes and 55 seconds, you train wrecked real bad. Like, these songs don't go together. Like, your vibe is weird. Like, this mix is phrased bad. Like, and I sent him back. I was like, here's my feedback on your mix. And he's like, yo, you're a dick. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And like, that dude never talked to me again. But I was like, I'm sorry that you asked me for feedback and I gave you something that I thought would help you be a better DJ. So now if somebody's like, yo, tell me about your shit, I'm like, well, do you want me to just tell you it's good, or do you want me to actually tell you what I think? Because I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to tell you, if you don't tell me not to, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, whether it's good or bad, like, and I won't pull anything from that.
Yeah.
But
I think some people are afraid of getting like the constructive criticism, because they just want to hear like that pump up, like, yo, man, that mix was dope. They don't want to hear that negative stuff, because then
well, constructive criticism isn't negative. People that just say you suck are not helping either.
Right? Yeah. If you're like, hey, that's trash, that's not good. But also, like, that whole thing's good's not good either. Like,
right? Exactly.
I liked all of what you did except for these things, or that mix was pretty dope except your phrasing is bad, or you could work on something else, or you could work on the general flow of your mix, or that was all over the place, or I couldn't tell what I was supposed to do, like chill or dance, or you know what I mean? Like, that kind of feedback is different. It's worth it.
BK, in your intro, showing up at parties, which I feel like you jumped over that, and you should really talk about it, because I don't know anyone who's been going out more consistently Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you know, if there's a house event, like, you know, more often, I feel like more often than not, I know BK is going to be there. Like, what drives you to like come out all the time? Like, is it just being a student of the game or supporting the scene or a little bit of both?
So I would say it's some of all the above, and like just being around like-minded people and enjoying the whatever, kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in the city and like keeping tabs on who's doing what and what's where, and like when the people bringing world-class people around, it's like kind of cool to be out and be able to see DJs that I've always wanted to see in the city where I live, and support friends and do stuff like that. So I try to get out, but it's a tough balance. So you try to stay in too. But like if everyone at my house is gonna go to sleep at 9 o'clock, then I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna sneak out of here. So I'll be at the club watching people DJ. So it is what it is, but it's fun. I think it's just that was I don't know, it's a thing that I really like to do. So I was always out in the places and trying to support the people that I thought I could or wanted to or would, or here or there.
Yeah, man.
James, how important do you think it is for DJs to get out and hear other DJs in their city and support the scene?
Dude, I think it's huge. I think it's just as important as learning the craft itself, because as an up and comer or just somebody that's trying to fill their schedule and make their brand um, better reputation for their brand, I think it's important to, especially somebody, house DJs support each other, because we're all coming up together. Because if, like, I think it was Alex Fear said it, or somebody said it last episode or so, that if a couple of us make it, then we all make it, if you really think about it.
True.
Because we're all supporting each other, we all want to see each other succeed, we're all friends, and that there's a lot of truth to that. So it's important to show that you genuinely support each other, and but you also just want to be familiar with what's going on in your scene, because if you're just gonna sit at home wait for gigs, it's just not gonna happen.
And those dudes are probably like the best at that too. I feel like those dudes are like super behind everybody everywhere and always have good things to say about everybody. They're like the most.
Oh yeah, Alex.
They are the most, like, I don't know how to say it. They're like the most neutral. They're just good. Like they're solid good. Like they don't. I've never heard them ever say anything bad about anybody ever, even when they could or should. They don't. So that's like they're absolutely the best at that side of the game.
True.
I agree.
I would agree with that too. 100%.
Hey Joey, talking about going out, has going out changed since you've become a DJ? Do you enjoy it more? Do you focus in on the DJ more, less? What tell us about that?
Yeah, I would say like going to shows and stuff, I do as of now start to tend to listen more for like the transitions and their track selection that they put through, just to try to like pick up on keys and things that I could probably implement for myself. Like I would say, I was on Holy Ship a couple years ago, and I got lucky enough to watch Latman. He's a European tech house DJ, very very good. And one of the stages that I was on, I was able to see like the CDJs and the equipment that he was using. And I can vividly remember just like me just sitting right in front of like the booth and just watching what he was doing every time he would mix a track or do those kinds of things. And I would just focus on it the whole time. Probably looked like a weirdo just staring at the CDJs, but whatever, dude. And I learned a lot, just like the effects that he was using, because I could hear him come in and out. And then, the next time that I got to play, I went on and try to mimic kind of the same effects that he was doing to see if I can implement it. I would say that, and I mean, going out for me is hit and miss, because honestly, sometimes I really don't want to leave my house, and then there's days that I do as far as going out. But I would say at least when I go, I pay attention to like what they do, how they react with the crowd, and their song selection and things like that. That way I can pick up on it, implement it myself, and learn more. So that's what I usually do when I go to shows, just to pick up on information and things that will help progress my career as well.
forever. I was a late starter though. Like I got started late in the game. I wasn't young. I wish I was, and that's why I'm interested now to see my kids, who I've been very careful not to push DJing on them, but allow them to be around it as much as they want to. And so like the other night I was downstairs cleaning the basement and they came down and they were poking around, my gear was on and I had it on like I turned off auto cue and I turned it off to just let some stuff play. And while I was down there cleaning, the boys were like, "Hey, can we DJ for you while you clean?" And I was like, "Sure." And so it turned into like a quick lesson, and they were messing around, and they've been since then like, "Hey, can we play with your DJ equipment again?" And I'm like, "Yep." And I'm getting them down there, so I'm being real careful not to like push them towards it, but kind of let them wander in whenever they feel like it. So
I like it.
I'm hoping if I can get them started at this age, then they can do something awesome, like rock their school dances and do that kind of stuff, and hey, you guys can be the DJs, and go like
Yeah,
learn
man.
and do all that stuff. So we'll see. But
Man,
I wish.
you're like be a better dad than I could ever be, man. I would be like, those basketball dads like that are like
Oh
on the sideline
no.
yelling at their kids. I would be like that, but for
Oh
DJ.
no.
I feel like that was like I knew that like the temptation to do that, Mike, is like is hardcore there. Like I want to sit down and learn how to beat.
That was not a good transition.
Right, like you suck, get off here. Like, but like, or I'd be like, you have 2 hours of DJ time this week, or you're gonna, you're grounded. And so, like, I feel like that would be a great way to get them not to want to do it. So, like, ultimately, they'd be like,
What's up,
DJing
Ashley?
sucks and Dad's a jerk, and I'll be like, all right, cool, that's probably true on both counts, but whatever. I'm like letting them kind of do their thing, but like I taught them how to use the sync. I was like, here's how we're gonna learn how to mix first, and then we're gonna learn how to beat match. And then I was kind of showing them how to beat match a little bit, like knocking stuff off and being like, fix this. And it was interesting to see. So they had remedial beat matching, and they learned how to like kind of sync, and they were mixing things back and forth and learning how to use the EQs to get from one to the other and asking questions about what does what. And so it's kind of crazy. But like when I have my DJS 1000 up, my one son always comes down and plays with it because he can program the step sequencer like a little wizard. He's over there writing his own songs and stuff.
Oh wow.
So
That's awesome, man. What's up, Cody?
Would you say
we were just talking about Gorilla?
Would you say, BK, that your kids are able to pick up like the mixing and being able to do those kinds of things pretty quickly, or do you think it's taken?
Yeah, no, they have what I would say is that innate sense of rhythm and pitch and key. Like when they were little, they would emulate sounds at like a perfect pitch and right in key, and like they were able to clap on beat at like 2. You know what I mean? Like like without being taught they're supposed to, they would just do it on their own. You know what I mean? Like you could watch them dance with rhythm or clap with rhythm at a small age, and I was like, well, they've got the rudimentary core pieces, so what if they just choose to do something with it? It's interesting.
That's pretty impressive.
But I'm trying to teach them some stuff, but not too much stuff, because he's like, how do I make drums to make a song? And I was like, well, I'm like, here's the rules ish for drums, like in house music, but really like there aren't any rules in music. So if you do a thing that doesn't follow any of the rules that I just told you and you think it sounds cool, then that's cool and you can start something new. And like you might make a new genre of music that nobody's made before, or do something. As long as you think it's cool and somebody else thinks it's cool, then it's good and you're good to go. So don't follow the rules like they're dead rules, but here's like a template of how things work ish, but don't be afraid to just get outside that and do whatever you want.
Hey man, well we were just talking about BK on our last episode with somebody talking about how good we like his set flow. His set flow is like one of the best we've heard in Columbus. Just the way you tell a story with your sets and program that, it's pretty good.
I feel like sometimes I get all over the place, but it works. I usually have an idea. I feel like as far as sets go, that's how I kind of my programming, for the sense of the word, is like I might have an idea of what song I might want to start with, or I might want to end with, and then maybe one somewhere in the middle, and then I'll just kind of put it together somewhere in there. So like I might come into a set with like, I'm going to play these 3 songs over this hour, and they're going to be at the ends and in the middle, and then I'll just kind of fill in everything else. It's kind of like build it as you go type deal, and that works. For me.
I agree.
Love it. Guys, where can people find you? Kenobi, we'll start with you. Social media handles, all that. And if you're watching on YouTube, this information will all be in the description.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as at DJ Kenobi, and also on Facebook as well.
How do you spell it?
KENOB3, and then have DJ in the front. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud as well.
BK, tell them about your TikTok.
My kids have that shit. But yeah, I'm on let's see, Instagram as BK DJ CBus, and that is also my Facebook page because you can't use 2 letters to make any kind of cool thing. So having a DJ name with 2 letters in is a stupid idea. If you're new, don't do that.
And you don't have like an X in it either.
No, they don't like that.
I don't like it. Like Kenobi, right? He was telling people DJ Kenobi, so they'd have typed in KENOBI, but because I have suffered that X for 12 years, I know how do you spell it.
Right. Yep. That's the thing. And then SoundCloud, it's on there the same. I got a podcast on Apple Music as well. That's under BK. Find it on there. SoundCloud, there's that. There's Mixcloud is BK. SoundCloud is BK. I think that pretty much covers it.